Well, the Q4 numbers are out, and what a disastrous year it has been for Tesla. How will they ever recover? Well, is it that disastrous? And for that matter, can we get back the sales we need in 2025? We're going to look at all the headwinds and tailwinds affecting not just the brand, but each individual model, and that's going to hopefully give us some insights. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. So let's talk first in generalities about the company overall. What headwinds and tailwinds do they face? Well, a headwind would be no new factories. Yeah, there's no new factories, although you could say that there's still sufficient room at Giga Texas to expand. And there's also other factors that will make that not as important. We'll get into those. The next big factory that I expect to see will probably be making the Cybercab. Potential loss of the IRA, that's a big one. Yeah, if the IRA goes away, that could drastically impact at least domestic sales. People can say, well, it'll still be the best deal out there. Well, yes, I suppose so, but losing a $7,500 credit to a buyer is an absolutely huge amount of money. That's a very large down payment for most of the vehicles that qualify. But I don't think that's going to happen in 2025, certainly not in the first half of the year. It would require an act of Congress, and I don't think there are enough votes at this time to get it through. But the bigger issue is that there's a lot of very high ranking political objectives, that there are a lot of high priority political objectives that will take priority over this. This is very low on the list. It's on the list, sure. It's not very high. So let's talk about some tailwinds. Generally, well, there could be the Model 2.5. I'm not going to call it the Q. That article was not sufficiently sourced. That doesn't even make sense. It could happen. Anything could happen. Single source rumors, you know me, I do not report them. So that is a dramatic tailwind for the company overall. So let's go model by model, shall we? Well, let's start with the oldest, the S and the X. A little bit of a headwind they're facing there. The Cybertruck is stealing their thunder. If you wanted the marquee EV in the US, well, for a long time that was the S or X, Falcon Wing doors, insane speed. You could argue that Porsche Taycan has taken some of that thunder, and for many buyers it has. It's a beautiful car, bit expensive. Cybertruck is the new coolness. And while it's maybe having its own troubles, we'll get to that in a minute. Who knows? Boy, you never know what I'm going to turn up here. It still affects S and X sales. It is the first product that Tesla's made that meaningfully cannibalizes their other sales. Sure, the Model 3 dug into Model S a bit. The Model Y, I guess, dug into Model X a bit. But those are quite different vehicles. And as different as the Cybertruck is, it is the halo car. It is what the people want when they want to be seen in something cool. So let's talk about the tailwind. Well, those vehicles still fill a need. There is still a market segment that these address. The large sedan is a market. It's competing against other large sedans, and it's something that some people want. Same is true of the X. These are very fast, very fun cars that are remarkably refined. Some would like a little bit more refinement. They might have thought the refresh would be a little more refreshing. I certainly thought that, but that doesn't mean that they are dead in the water. Some people still want them. I want a really nice electric vehicle that doesn't look like a wedge. I can appreciate that. Many can. That's why the S and X are still selling. For how much longer? Well, remains to be seen. Phase 3 of Tesla's vision is all about extreme scale. So this is what they would be looking at, is keeping these at least for now. So let's talk about the Model 3. That's the new one. Well, its biggest headwind is that it's a sedan. And it's one of its biggest markets is the US. And the US is not really a sedan market. That is a headwind. The fact that there could be a 2.5 coming soon, a slightly smaller vehicle or cheaper vehicle built on the same assembly line as the Model 3 could be something that would cut into its demand in the future once that new vehicle is known. And we'll probably know about it 3 months before it's out. We'll probably see it road testing like we do so many other vehicles. So that's a thing to worry about. On the plus side, we do have cost of goods sold reduction. Tesla's always good at finding a few more pennies to squeeze out of the cost. That means they could reduce the cost of the Model 3, keep units moving. And then there's the people who wait Uh, there's the people who won't replace a car just because there's a new one out. Well, it may be time. There are a lot of people who bought in 2018, 2019, who are ready to buy their next Model 3, ready to buy their next car, and the Model 3 is the one they still want. If you have an old Model 3 and have not driven the Highland Model 3, be careful because you will buy one. They are that much better. And a quick reminder to pretty please subscribe. It doesn't cost anything and you get the best access to the best information the quickest. Appreciate it. Only about half the viewers are subscribed. I would love to hit 100,000 this year. Cost you nothing. Thank you for your support. So let's talk about the Model Y. Oh my gosh, the Model Y, it's got big headwinds and big tailwinds. The biggest headwind, of course, is that you're going to have to slow production for the refresh. Now, it appears that Shanghai has managed to do their refresh with very little downtime. They were able to build up a little bit of extra supply, perhaps, shut it all down, get it all started. It appears it has started, but there will be ramp up time, and that does have a negative impact. Now, let's do it in the other three factories in Texas, in Fremont, in Berlin. Those factories are not as likely to do the changeover quite as quickly. There will be some downtime. There will be a slow ramp back to full production. But with that said, there is a whole lot of tailwind. This will likely, even with the downtime, outsell the 2025 numbers. You see, there'll be a fresh round of demand. People will want this car. It'll be simpler to build because of the old Model 3 and the new Model 3. We saw many simplifications. That means it can be produced more quickly on the same equipment. But the Model Y is not at capacity. If there's more demand, even if it takes just as long to build, they can build more. We've seen excess capacity in Berlin. We've seen excess capacity in Texas. Both of those help out tremendously. It'll have a lower cost of goods sold. So if they do need to move more units, they can adjust the price. So it's going to be cheaper to build, better margin, or better margin, or better price, or both. Cybertruck. Let's talk about the Cybertruck. Well, we're talking headwinds and tailwinds, so we have to talk about the headwinds. Low demand. There's no demand. I've got a whole video I'm making about that because there's no demand. Nobody wants one. They're so ugly. Who would want to be caught dead in that, apart from famous people and people who have businesses and people who just like cool things and someone who needs a tight turn radius in a truck, and people who want a truck that's more secure than a regular truck, and people who want a truck that is cheaper to fuel and has less maintenance. Other than them, other than that, what have the Romans done for us? So, yeah, it's too ugly. It's not conventional. I'm still seeing people saying, boy, if they just made a conventional truck. Yeah, but they didn't. Get over it. Well, the next truck they make is going to be conventional. Is it? Who told you that? I haven't heard that. And I keep my ear to the ground. Don't know where you're getting that. Let's talk tailwind. Without any price reduction, the vehicle is already eligible for the IRA, for the $7,500 buyer tax credit, perhaps for a limited time, perhaps for only a few months, perhaps only a year or two more, but it is eligible. So that $80,000 all-wheel drive is now effectively $72,500. So that is very, very good. That is going to induce a whole new round of demand. Price elasticity is a real thing. There is a very big difference in your payment between $72,500 and $80,000. It is, 10% cheaper, roughly. Would you like your down payment to be 10% less and your monthly payment to be 10% less? Psychologically, the difference between a little widget at the store for just $29.95 is very different than one that's $34. So that is something that will help. And there could be a rear-wheel drive version, a single motor version coming this year. The IRA has already accepted it. If they should start making it, we could see another model that's even less expensive. They could also likely drop the price on the all-wheel drive version from $80 to less than $80. Don't know if that's going to happen this year. Don't know if it needs to happen. But they could sell the single motor version for less money still. That would pick up another wave of demand, another wave of the demand is strong. It would pick up another wave of people who are actually capable of affording the vehicle. Guys, we've got to still have to cover the Semi and the Cybercab. Those are the last two. Before that, I just want to say thank you for those of you who have chosen to support the channel on Patreon, on YouTube as a channel member, on X as a subscriber. All of that helps. It's how I can get to events like Starship Launch Test 7, which I am leaving for on Thursday morning, something like that. Thursday morning, yes, very, very early Thursday morning. I'm heading to the airport. I'll be there through the 12th. If you're going to be there, let me know. Let's connect. So, yeah, let's talk about the Semi. It's hard to say headwind because they haven't made very many before. Now, you could say headwind to ramping to full production. I'm not expecting full production or even a full ramp by the end of 2025. I'm expecting to see the ramp go well. I'm expecting to see them go from making no units to making hundreds, maybe even thousands a month by the end of the year. But I'm not looking to see them making hundreds a day by the end of the year. You see, the capacity of the factory is something like 50,000, which would be about 40 gigawatt hours of battery cells per year. I'm not convinced Giga Nevada can produce that many, or that there are other factories ready to take up that slack. That seems like an awful lot of batteries to produce. And we haven't seen expansion to the factory. Yes, they're better at getting the footprint down and keeping it down. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. There could be a delay there. People have asked, why didn't they start this factory a year sooner? I think the answer was batteries. Hey, well, Elon said twice, in fact, we are not battery constrained. Right. But if you introduced a vehicle that requires an additional 40 gigawatt hours, you would be. This is like more than 20 Cybercabs worth of batteries. It's a lot. Okay. So then, but the tailwinds are they will sell more than ever. Nikola broke their all-time sales record in 2024. They sold something like 208 semis. Okay, well, I predict Tesla is likely to sell more than 208 semis this year. So, with that said, and I don't think that, like Nikola Tesla, will lose $2 million for every unit sold. That's crazy. Good luck with that. So, Semi, that will add to the bottom line. If you're looking for a number larger than the production Tesla had in 2024 or 2023, this is one way you get there. Throw in some Cybertrucks, a lot of them, maybe an extra 50, 100,000 of them. Throw in even 5 or 10,000 semis. Great. And the Cybercab. That's the last one we need to address. Cybercab's biggest headwind is that it's not coming in 2025. Tesla believes that they will have robo-taxis ready by the end of 2025, but they have said that those will be on 3s and Ys, on your car, not the RoboCab. The Cybercab is coming later. We haven't seen any evidence that they are putting the factory together. As of just a month ago, we know that they hadn't even settled on what the skin of the car would be. Plastic, polymer, carbon fiber, aluminum, but definitely not stainless. They have made that clear. It doesn't suit the purpose. So yeah, it's not coming. And if it were to show up, it would be at the very end of the year in very low numbers, lower than any of the other products we've mentioned so far. What did I miss? What did I misunderstand? Leave it all into the comments below and stay tuned and juicy. And I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots on the next amazing installment of Brian Shouts at the Camera for 10 minutes straight.